Tēnā koutou katoa. No mai, haere mai. Welcome everyone. Thank you so much for coming along tonight. What a fabulous turn. Thank you, Ashhurst, and the Tararua Lobb. It's just great to see you all, and we really appreciate the people out there. We really do. To open our hui tonight, I would like to invite Wiremu from Rangatane to say a Karakia for us, please. Thank you very much.
Kia ora. Kia ora! That's better. Rangatane people love that. Kia ora. Inoi tātou, let us bow heads in prayer. E tō mātou māti te rangi, kia tape toinga wā, kia tā mātou rangatiratanga, kia me tātou e pai ai ki rungo te whenua. Ki re te anu ki tō te rangi, o mai ki mātou i nai nei. E taruma mātou mō tēnei rā, muru mātahara. Me mātou hoki muri nei e tanga anana ki mātou. O hoki mātou e kāwia, ki whakawaina, engari, ako rangi mātou i te kino, o hoki, te rangatiratanga me te kaha me te kōrea, ake, amenea. I kui mai, koroma, rau rangatira katoa, a iwi ngā hau e whā, the League of Nations, tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou katoa. Ngā mihi nui, kia koutou. Nau mai haere mai te whenua Rangatane o Manawatu. Ngā mihi nui, kia koutou. E nei rā mātou te rōpuru kura, e ka nei raro i te koro wai o tarangi Māori e. Ki te kawa nei, ki ringa te kaupapa o te rā. E tau nei tēnei rōpuru ngā waha korero hei whakamārama hei whiti kōrero. Whakaro, e pāna, ki te kaupapa o te rā. Whakatauki e te pēti te awe awe, kua kaupapa au te araha mō koutou i whakaoti. The horizon's good, guys. Kei te ora te wai, kei te ora te whenua, kei te ora te tangata. Hutia te retua tāki. Ka he te pomoko i ko, ka rere ki uta, ka rere ki tāki mai, kia e ata minui o Jono MacFarlane, e tangata, e tangata, e tangata, e tangata, e tangata. I roto i te paipiri tapu, ko te whakapono, te tumunako me te aroha, me nui, o tarangi Māori. Just a brief translation. In my viewpoint, I opened up with the best prayer in the world, and it's called the Lord's Prayer. And what I love about that prayer, it's not his or them. It says, Our Father who art in heaven, which is all inclusive. And somewhere in that prayer, we're going to have to forgive this government, maybe. Maybe not. It says, bless those that persecute you. What do you reckon, Tangi? Then we went on to welcome you, all of you. And that whakatauki from Te Pēti Te Awe Awe, what he was saying is we need to walk together, hand in hand, with not only non-Māori but other tribes, but do it in love. Big difference when you put that word love in the middle. And of course, I ask for God's blessing, as I always do, on us here, everyone here tonight. Not only that, I quoted out of 1 Corinthians 13, out of the Bible, 3 things which remain: faith, hope and love. But the greatest of these is the love that goes beyond all understanding. Nō reira, tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou katoa. I just ask my backing, I have backing singers now when I go everywhere. Mr. Seymour, I wish he was here tonight. Why do I say that? If you look at the people that are singing tonight, Māori and non-Māori singing together. Nō reira, tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou, katoa.
Kia ora, Wiremu. Thank you very much. I'd like to welcome everyone here, and I want to thank you very much for turning up to say no to the toll on our highway. It's our link. We've lost the Gorge, and that was such a link, and it was a link between our communities for eons. And to have our replacement road threatened to be tolled is just a mortal wound for us, and for many reasons which will be talked about this evening. A little bit of housekeeping. If in case of an emergency or a fire we have to exit the building, there are 3 exits. There's one there, and obviously where you came in, where most of you came in. So you're most welcome to go out and in an orderly way, but please wait in the car park. That's our assembly point, and at that point, we will just make sure everyone's okay before you toddle off. There are toilets in the foyer. I think men's on the left, ladies on the right. We do have one request, and we'll only ask this once tonight, so we won't go over this. But we have a koha box in the foyer. We have incurred some costs this evening, $300 to $400, and if you could help us, if we collect more than that, the overflow will be given to RECAP, which is the, I saw a little poster about that somewhere, did I or did I not? It is to provide food and support for the people in the Ashhurst community. So we're not here to make money tonight.
Excuse me?
Yes?
Can you please use the sound system so we can hear you?
And what? Oh, yeah. Well, it's very rare for people to ask me to speak up, I can tell you that now. Very unusual event. My wife is always telling, she warns me before the All Blacks start playing. She says, now no shouting, but I can't help myself. Yeah. Is that okay? Cool. So we'll just go over that again. In an emergency, there are the 2 exits at the front, exit at the back, toilets are in the foyer. And I'm going to have to say what I said I wasn't going to say again. There is a koha box out the front. We have incurred some expenses. We would like to thank Palmerston North City Council this evening for, shall I turn that off? I think that's what's going on, for gifting us the use of the hall tonight. So thank you for that. Yes. Out in the foyer, as you came in, I know that I saw quite a few of you signing your names on an open letter that we have written to Minister Simeon Brown. And that's asking him to just reverse this decision. And that's going to be sent to him at the end of this week. So if you could please do that, I would really appreciate it. The other thing about that is that that does not mean that you have made a submission. So it is important that you go onto the NZTA website, and I think there are some QR codes that you can put your little phone on your camera on your phone, and you can hold it up and it'll take you straight to where you can fill that in. And if you're not sure what to say, there is a 12-point fact sheet there that you can choose from, and you can say, I don't want a toll road, and that's fine, but you must put a submission in. I was talking with a Member of Parliament yesterday on the phone, and she was telling me that there had already been a huge number of submissions from this region against the toll. So again, thank you very much for coming up. We're grateful for the journalists and videographers present. If the cameras are moving around, let them do their work, that's good. I am now very pleased to introduce to you another of the community members that has helped organise this tonight, Phil Stevens, and he's going to come up and present some information to you with Heath Chittenden, who is the school principal, the Ashhurst school principal across the road. And thank you very much, Heath, thanks, Heath, for all the chairs as well. Appreciate that. So thank you, Phil and Heath.
I love technology. Brilliant. So so this is our lovely village before the gorge closure. 7,500 vehicle trips a day through the gorge, roughly, average. And we'll get that pointed straight at me. How's that? So 7,500 a day through the gorge, and about 150 brave souls went over the saddle every day. Travel time, you could get from Woodville to Palmerston North if there was no traffic in just a little bit over 20 minutes. And Ashhurst was a quiet and safe community. Then it all changed in 2017. The traffic was diverted to the Palmerston track and the Saddle Road. There are now roughly 6,200 vehicle movements a day through our residential streets. Long queues of traffic with rat running, dangerous overtaking, and just the general noise, vibration, and pollution that is causing a lot of hardship for the Ashhurst residents. It takes longer to get from one side to the other. It's more dangerous. And we've got quite a bit of disruption on our hands. But that's okay, because this was temporary. It was temporary. We were promised this was only going to be until the replacement road was built, and that we would have a resolution and things would get back to normal when the new road is open. I shouldn't say new. Correct me. The replacement road, because this is not a new road. This is a replacement of a highway link that was severed. However, in spite of these assurances, the community had to work hard, sometimes in a little bit of an adversarial role, to get traffic calming measures and to get things done to make life a little bit easier and safer for our residents. So now here we are, probably 10 months out from the opening of the replacement link, and suddenly there's a new word being thrown around that we hadn't heard before in this conversation. It's the toll. And we ask not for whom the bell tolls, because we know where that money is going to go. Or do we? Well, there's a lot of questions. There's a lot of questions about how many vehicles are actually using the road, whether the modeling is actually sound, and what sort of volumes are acceptable to continue using these substandard routes in residential streets. So the impacts of tolling, beyond the physical and logistical problems of the traffic on our streets, are the economic hardship it's going to impose. The people who use the Saddle Road, the people who are commuting, the people who need to get from one side to the other on a daily basis, they're going to be hit pretty hard by this. It's not a trivial matter. Asking them to pay $4.30 just to travel that stretch of road is going to be a material hardship. Saddle Road and Palmerston track are both unsuitable for high volumes of traffic and lots of trips. That's been proven. Other toll roads in this country were built alongside existing state highways that were relatively safe and fit for purpose. This is not the case here. And of course, we've been hearing some justifications kind of at the last minute about why this toll is necessary. Transport Minister Simeon Brown said the road is a significant upgrade. Well, yes, of course it is. Look at the old one. It's buried under thousands of tons of dirt and rock. Yeah, we're not going to use that anymore. It's a dead issue, all right? Fine. Travel times will be significantly shortened. Well, honestly, 13 minutes from one side to the other beats the gorge by about 2. So, yeah, I don't know if that's significant. It is less. The replacement road is certainly not going to require so much maintenance that it's going to need $12 million a year for upkeep. If it does, then there's something horribly wrong either with the way the road's being built or with our priorities of how we maintain it. And on top of that, the delay in releasing the business case seems a little bit suspect and leads some people to wonder if maybe the figures were being made to order. So, did a little bit of a deep dive into the numbers and went to Waka Kotahi's website, pulled down some statistics. And if we use the vehicle movements across the state highway network as a whole and track the changes, it turns out that from 2016 through 2020, there was actually a net decrease in vehicle movements. Now, of course, this is taking into account the first part of the pandemic. However, if you look at the blue bars up there, this is the modeling that we're expected to believe is the projected numbers for the road, well north of 10,000 vehicles by next year. If we take into account the pandemic, the lockdown, and the recovery afterwards, you get the yellow bars. However, if we model using the NZTA statistics showing an actual drop in vehicle numbers over 5 years, we see something a little bit more like the red bars. So that doesn't even get to 10,000 vehicle movements until maybe 2050? Don't know. So with that, yeah, I'll leave you to ponder some of those things and invite Heath Chittenden to come up and talk a little bit about how the school is faring.
Good afternoon, or good evening, sorry, everybody. Just good evening, everybody. So I've been principal of Ashhurst School for about 9 years. So I'm from Taranaki, actually. I wonder whether Mount Messenger's going to be told, by the way. That's going to be interesting. But so I arrived about 9 years ago, just as the beginnings of the Gorge closures kicked in. And so for me, Ashhurst has kind of been sitting in this groove at the moment with the whole detours and roads. Has created a significant difference and change to our school. We talk about broken promises. The architects did the most amazing drawings selling what Ashhurst was going to look like, and all the cafe space and everything that was going to be on the sides of the roads. I think if you go back to those initial drawings and had a look at how Ashhurst was going to benefit from the toll road, also not from the toll road, from the road having to be over the saddle and that, it was absolutely outstanding. And what we got was a roundabout and some speed bumps that were actually driven all the way through. Our power lines were actually promised too. Also, Grant Smith talked about how the power lines all down the main street were going to be put underground, and none of that either. So they probably spent more money on the people to draw the pictures than what they invested in the community. So also coming into that was the notion around our school and our climate. So thankfully, we've actually now fully fenced our school and locked everybody out of it because the vandalism and the theft absolutely increased. And with 31 security cameras now monitoring our school, I actually am okay on people coming in on the main routes, jumping fences, stealing speakers, and anything else they can get their school trailers and anything else they can get their hands on. And that's our school looks like a prison from the outside, and we have no choice. And we have no choice why we had to lock our community out of our school, because it's not our community we're servicing, it's everyone who's driving through it who does the damage to it. And the level of policing to actually support that, I feel sorry for Phil, he does an amazing job, we work with him well. But when I actually first started here, on the side note of that, there were 3 police officers here. Now there's a person who works one or 2 days a week if he's not called to another job. So we increased the traffic and we did nothing to service the community around law and order, the races. There would be a dozen times we've almost had children hit on that crossing, where actually people, believe it or not, will weave through the traffic signs because they're in a rush to get in front of everybody else. And then the things that aren't seen, the workforce. We are a big school in a very small community. So 500 students service that school. 34 classroom teachers are required to operate it. When I went to Teachers College, there's 450 teachers training at Massey University. I think there's 15 in class this year. So those 15 are more likely to get a job sitting inside Palmerston North and travelling out to Ashhurst. And I've actually interviewed staff that are doing extramural work and who are sitting in every outskirt that you can find. And I actually interviewed an outstanding candidate a couple of days ago to look at coming to our school. But the thought of her having to drive through the saddle, A, was completely underwhelming, and B, now the thought of having to pay, $9 a day to get over top of it. It's a pay cut already to come and work in Ashhurst because you've got to pay for petrol as it is. And it's the same, and I actually lost a teacher last year because she got sick and tired of driving over the saddle, so she's just sitting over and taking a job in Tararua. And I actually sit with my colleagues over on that side of the hill who experience the same problems. We actually are in a staffing crisis in education that has sat here for a long time, and it's not the main town schools that are going to suffer from that, it's everyone who sits rurally. And you just cut us off at the knees again. It's hard enough to get people to come out as it is, and you're going to limit our options again from where we are. And we have an amazing school, and I work sleeplessly to find people to staff it, and it's becoming increasingly difficult. And this is another barrier that you're going to put on a rural workforce. So I just really think there needs to be, and by the way, I spent a lot of time in my youth and younger days on contact time and up in Cambridge, and loved the road up there. Never really ever thought when I was driving between T-Rail and Cambridge and Hamilton there was ever really a big problem, but nonetheless we've got a road that flies through there, no toll. Just drove my son to Wellington to play golf through the Transmission Gully, no toll there. You know, what was wrong with the other road? Because that's how I see it. There's no rubble sitting inside those other roads, and if there was an earthquake that happened, so be it. But as I said to you, you've got other roads in our country that, for some reason, they're untouchable, but this one definitely is. And not only that, you double the price. Like, who's done the math? I'd be more than happy to talk to them about mathematics. There you go.
Thank you very much. Can you hear me this time? Yeah, good. Thank you very, very much, Phil. Thank you, Heath. We really appreciate it. I think the single most important thing you can do this evening is make sure that you give a submission, that you put a submission in on the NZTA website. And then the second most important thing is to get your mates to do that too, and your friends, and people anywhere in the nation can do that. So it would be really good if you can ramp that up. My experience living here for 24 years has been that I would ride my horse anywhere I liked in Ashhurst, being a beautiful, rural, quaint town, something that I loved and raised my children here and now my grandchildren. And we would often ride down Saddle Road to the river, and that river is just an absolutely beautiful natural playground. And we haven't been doing that for 7 or 8 years now. And I wished I had not stopped. I wished I'd kept going and asked NZTA to provide me safe passage. That's what I wished I'd done. But as in terms of a community-minded group, the recreational horse riders, we got together and said, no, let's just leave, Saddle Road alone for now. But, we are so poor for it now. And if we have a toll on this road, lots of people are going to choose to use Saddle Road anyway. And so I'll be no better off. So that's my beef for the evening. I was told I wasn't allowed to go on and on about that, okay? Look, I'd like to introduce to you Brent Barrett, Palmerston North City Councillor, and he's agreed to help moderate the speakers and the question and answer time at the end of that. You're all going to be able to have your say if you want to ask a question this evening. Thank you, Brent.
Great, thank you, Arthur, and we'll test this microphone out and see if it works throughout the room. Awesome to see so many people here. Thank you for turning up, and thank you particularly to Arthur, Phil, Harley, the Ashhurst volunteers, Heath for speaking. Really, really appreciate you guys making the effort locally here in Ashhurst to put this meeting on. Could we get a round of applause for Arthur and his friends? So I can certainly say at City Council we've been hearing a lot from people who are concerned by this proposal, and the mayor will be speaking some to that, or the deputy mayor in just a moment. This is the third meeting calling for the toll proposal to stop, and for it to stop right here and right now. There's a massive meeting and big energy in Woodville. That was followed up by a really strong turnout in Dannevirke, and tonight this is our first meeting west of the ranges, and it's absolutely fantastic to see so many folks that have turned up here in Ashhurst. If you're enjoying leaning against the wall, keep on leaning. There are seats here if you do want them. We'd love to get a sense of who is in the room. So could you make a little bit of noise if you are from Ashhurst? Oh, that's good, good. Palmerston North. Yeah, a few Palmy. Manawatu and Fielding. Yeah, excellent. Thank you for making the journey. Fantastic. And the mighty Tararua. Excellent. Anybody from further afield? Hand up. Where are you from? Horowhenua. Thank you. Yep. Wanganui. Excellent. Thank you for making the journey here. Really appreciate it. Now we've got some cameras rolling, and there's a really good opportunity here. I think we won't get a chance for everyone to ask a question tonight, but everyone can say something tonight. And what we'd like you to say is just 2 words: no toll. And that'll be on the count of 3. Are you ready? Are your lungs kind of warmed up? 1, 2, 3. No toll! And there's your soundbite. Thank you. I know many of us are actually quite unhappy about this, quite aggrieved, in some cases even angered by this proposal. But we're asking that you do make sure that this meeting we stay respectful, and that we stay on task, and that we show our guests and we show New Zealand what an awesome, constructive community we are. So that you know what to expect in this part of the meeting, we'll have a number of speakers from iwi, regional council, local councils, and a couple of MPs. We'll then have some Q&A, and then we'll finish off with Arthur coming back and giving you one more plug on those awesome submissions. We plan to hit pause about 8:30 so that if people need to go, they can, and we'll definitely wrap up by 9 o'clock. So just a few ground rules. When others are speaking, please give them the courtesy of not interrupting them. And with everyone, but most especially with our civil servants, please do keep it civil. Any abuse will not be acceptable, and to be honest, it won't be helpful to our cause. So if anybody does become abusive, that person will be asked to leave the meeting. Before I acknowledge some of our guests, I want to first say a huge thank you again to each of you for coming out tonight. It's the people's passion and people's power that can actually turn this around. So thanks for being in the room. It's much, much appreciated. So we'll go ahead and welcome our guests up here and then get them speaking. So first, Wiremu from Rangatane, who gave us our Karakia. Come on up, Wiremu. Rachel Keedwell, the chair of Horizons Regional Council. Debi Marshal Lobb, the Palmerston North Deputy Mayor. Tracey Collis, the Tararua Mayor. Linda Stewart from NZTA Waka Kotahi. Mike Butterick, the MP for Wairarapa. And Tangi, the MP for Palmerston North and Labour's Transport spokesperson. Just to welcome a few others in the room so that you know some of your representatives that are here. Thank you, Karen McNulty, for coming across from the Wairarapa, list MP for Labour. Carl Bates, the MP for Wanganui, has made the journey across as well, so that's one more hand up for Wanganui. Thank you for coming across. Manawatu Mayor Helen Warboys in the room. Thank you, Helen, for making the time to be here, and would acknowledge the many, many councillors from the city and districts. If you're a city or district councillor, honestly, I haven't seen everyone in the room. Could you just pop your hand up so people kind of get a sense of who's in the room? Yeah, got a few people even right down the back. Excellent. Great. Thank you all for being here. That's fantastic. I do want to especially shout out to Scott Gilmore, Tararua District Councillor. Scott, you kicked all this off in Woodville with a whole lot of organizing, so thank you. And also thank you to Vicky Tomlinson. Yeah, round of applause for Scott. And to Vicky, who's here from, Vicky Tomlinson, who's here from Positively Woodville. Vicky's going to make a brief announcement after the speakers and before the Q&A. So just to keep things on track, we'll go to speakers now. We'll go right through all the speakers, and then we'll go to Q&A after that. So firstly, Wiremu, the floor is yours. Thank you for being here.
First of all, may I say, under the Treaty of Waitangi, I'm the Mayor of Rangatane. I don't have elections, but I just am. You know why that is? Because we've been here 800 years. Not just a couple of generations, 800 years. And first and foremost, they call me the Nightmare, but it's the Nightmare spelt with a K. That went well. I won't. And I come from the promised land of Rangatane. Rachel knows where that is. Rangioti, she used to live there. See, we're really well out there. But first and foremost, may I say, Rangatane or Manawatu have no intentions of supporting this toll. Right from the start, no toll. And we agree wholeheartedly with that. May I say to some of you, now you know how us Maoris feel. We've had 185 years of this. We go, kōrero mai, change the post. Go, kōrero mai, change the post. So you can see why we get a little bit brassed off. And I know I can speak on behalf of my own relations, not only Rangatane, Marapuku, Kowhata, Ngāti Raukawa, Tamaki Nui Aru over the hill, Rangatane, and also, what's that other? Kahununu. So, kia ora, anyone for Kahununu here, kia ora. I'm known as the peacemaker. But when we look at it, right at the beginning, Rangatane was sitting at the table. Not a whisper, not an unction that this was going to happen. Why wait till we get to the end? So as far as we have significant sites right throughout the gorge, urupas, sites of natural history to us. And when I went with Horizons, and don't forget you can vote for me if I stand again, if they allow me to stand again. But what I can say is this, the new road that they put in is good, and it's done a lot of things for our environment. And if we just keep on carrying on like we are, and people forced to use the alternative routes just to save save a lot of money. And when I hear Turanga, I'm not too sure, how much to get across the bridge there, $2 or something, is it? I'm not too sure, would you probably? Hello, they come and see us. $9 a day if we live in Woodville, going back and forth. So as far as the Rangatane is concerned, no way. And we'll see if they'll break their promise again. Kia ora, I'll leave it at that because there's a lot of speakers and I could go on for a good half hour, but I'm just warming up. But kia ora.
Kia ora, Wiremu. Thank you for putting that in context. Next speaker is Dr. Rachel Keedwell, Chair, Horizons Regional Council. Please do give her a welcome.
Kia ora koutou. Thank you all for being here tonight and showing what you think about this proposal. Look, to be honest, I'm not against road tolls. What I am against is putting them somewhere that's not, excuse me, not appropriate. For this road, for Te Ahua Turanga, it's not appropriate. And in fact, on so many levels, it is wrong. It is wrong to put a toll on a replacement road that doesn't have a safe or resilient alternative. There's a reason that the Saddle Road has a speed limit of 60 on it. It's wrong to put a toll road between a community, the Tararua community, and its hospital. And it's also wrong to betray iwi and community who worked so hard in good faith in making this road the success that it's going to be by, at the last minute, changing the conditions. The bit that puzzles me the most is how it can possibly be appropriate to even consider tolling this road when the numbers don't meet NZTA's own criteria for deciding whether a road should be tolled. So I'll just run through a few stats. They back up what Phil was presenting before. So the gateway test says there should be at least 10,000 vehicles a day using the road for it to be considered appropriate for tolling. The Gorge counts prior to closure, as Phil said, 7,600. The NZTA technical assessment in 2018 that was looking at what the usage would be when the road opens, 9,700. Counts in 2023, when you're including construction vehicles on the Saddle Road, 6,000. I don't have the current counts. I know there are traffic counters out there at the moment. Tracey had a few figures on this, but I know they are nowhere near 10,000. And by the NZTA's own estimates, 37% of people will choose not to use Te Āhua Tūranga, but they will continue to use the other routes. So that means fewer than 7,000 vehicle movements a day will be on Te Āhua Tūranga, which last time I checked is a long way from that gateway of 10,000 vehicle movements a day. So I do not understand how they came to these figures, and this proposal should have been tossed in the bin a long time ago because it doesn't even meet that first check. So if this tolling proposal goes ahead, in order to save the government money, because to be realistic, that's what it's about. It's not about our community, it's not about what's best for our region. So Ashhurst will continue to pay the cost with the high vehicle movements through the village. Our ratepayers will continue to pay the cost in rates that will be required to maintain the Saddle Road to meet the high traffic volumes that are going to continue. They're not going to revert back to 150 vehicle movements a day, which is what it used to be. And our communities will pay the cost in grief when deaths and serious injuries are not reduced because people are unable to afford to use the safe route over the hill. NZTA's own tolling assessment estimates that there will be a reduction in safety benefits by 1/3 if a toll is put on this road, despite the fact that safety was one of the top 3 critical objectives for developing Te Āhua Tūranga. And the Regional Council, we can't even offer a bus service as an alternative way to travel between here and Tararua, because although we've put money in our budget for such a service, NZTA has just recently declined to fund that service, the services that we proposed, and services that would help those struggling already to meet their transport costs. So it's adding insult to injury. So if this government has chosen tax cuts and landlords in the tobacco industry over hospitals and schools in our communities, then it's not our community's responsibility to pick up the tab, quite frankly. So what can you do? As Arthur said, and he will say again, you need to put in a submission, you need to tell everyone to put in a submission and say how it does affect you. Those people in Wellington reading these submissions, they need to understand from our perspective what this means. This isn't any ordinary road toll situation. Our council is in support of Otaki to north of Levin, the O2NL road toll. That's a different situation. This one is quite unique and we need to get that information across. What you can also do is write to your local MPs. We've got Carl Bates from Wanganui here. We've got Mike Butterick and also Suze Redmayne, who's not here, but Suze and Mike cover this area on both sides of the hill. So, and ask them to advocate for us and for our community. Our communities voted them in, and they should be doing their very best to advocate for us rather than just towing the party line on this. Transport Minister, Simeon Brown, he's only thinking about what's appropriate for NZTA's coffers and for the government books. He is not thinking about what is best for this community and this region and how this proposal will affect us. So make sure your MPs know what's best for our region and make sure they tell Simeon in no uncertain terms what should happen to this proposal. So thank you for being here tonight and for telling the government that this toll is not appropriate. They've got it wrong. They need to own their mistake and they need to withdraw this ridiculous proposal. Thank you.
Kia ora. Thank you, Rachel. Some really clear messages there about MPs representing their communities, amongst others. Thank you. Our next speaker, please join me in welcoming the Deputy Mayor for Palmerston North City Council, Debi Marshal Lobb.
Tēnā tātou, tuatahi ka rere taku mihi ki a koe pā Wiremu nau anoi whakatuwhera tō tātou hui ma te Karakia. Tēnā nō hoki koutou i ngā rangatira i hui mai nei I tēnei rā. He kaupapa tai ori tēnei. I'd just like to acknowledge Pa Wiremu for opening our Karakia and also the fact that he is mana whenua and provided something really significant. We're both Rangatane, but it's not me mihing to myself here, but those of you who are Māori would understand that you don't do that, but I think it's important that he provided a context of what Rangatane think about this tolling. But I'm here today representing Palmerston North City Council, and I see some of my colleagues here, and I'd just like to ask if they could stand up, because I'm not speaking just on myself, I'm speaking on behalf of what we did earlier today, so if they could stand. Ngā mihi kia koutou. I send apologies also from our Mayor, Grant Smith, who's overseas at this moment in time. I think when we first heard about the tolls, we were all shocked. It came in the 11th hour, and everything that was said before, what we saw on there, so true. And we all understand what that's about. Today, we had a really good session at Council, if not a long session, but a good session. And part of that was that we feel quite proud of is the fact that we confirmed our submission to Wellington opposing the toll. I'd just like to read out some of the things that we've said in that submission. A tolling proposal did not form part of the original planning for the road. The proposed toll will have a significant financial and social impact on local communities. This is a replacement road for State Highway 3 through the Manawatu Gorge. It is not a new road. This road differs from other toll roads proposals that is not in the new road. NZTA identifies Te Ahua Turanga as both a new and a replacement road in its tolling assessment, which indicates that they themselves are uncertain of the criteria. The proposed toll rate is nearly double that of any other tolling rate in the country. And what the proposal is that the money gets collected here and sent to roads of significance around the country, not even within our own community. There's no justice in that. In fact, it's an injustice. We talked, and I'm not going to go over what Rachel said because I agree with everything she said as well, but the saddle and the Pahiatua roads aren't appropriate. They're not designed to take that volume of traffic. It's good to see Kieran here because in a previous life I was actually principal of his old school in Wairarapa. And so I would go over the Pahiatua track several times a week. And there were times when I would go over, so I relate to what you were saying, that it became an obstacle because sometimes I'd get partway there and the road was closed. And then I'd have to come all the way back or else I'd have to phone up school and say, I can't come in until later this afternoon. Hopefully they've cleared it. So that was a major issue. We're concerned that this community, once again, will suffer. You were told it was only going to be for a short time. And Tararua, ngā mihi kia koe whaia Tracey, and everyone from that whānau. speaking about roads, they are designed to connect us. So by putting a toll on there, that is a disconnect. And we know that people are heavily reliant on this. Last week I was at the Manawatū and Tararua Māori Principals and Māori Teachers Association Hui. And they'd asked me about council and what was coming up, and I mentioned this. And they said, we want a submission. We want to put a submission forward. So, and part of the reason for that is not only do people come backwards and forwards to appointments or to work, but there's a cultural connection. There's a social connection. Many of our students go there to play sports. Many of them have exchanges that would be stopped or prevented this way. And I know for Palmerston North City Council, you have our support. We don't want a toll. And we're here to show our support, and we've made the submission, and we will keep making noise to say, ka te aki rā tēnā. In Māori there's a saying, ko te hea no te hea, ko te tika no te tika. Some of you will know what that means, but basically it's saying, what's right is right, what's wrong is wrong. And this is wrong. Tō reira, kia ora koutou.
Kia ora whai, Debi. Thank you for sharing the city's perspective and some of your personal perspective on that as well. Really appreciate you being here this evening. Folks, will you now please give a warm Manawatu welcome to the Mayor of Tararua District, Tracey Collis.
How's that? Awesome. Tēnā koutou, ngā mihi nui kia koutou katoa. Greetings and my warmest regards to you all, and thank you so much for tuning out tonight. Thank you for the privilege of being able to join and speak with you. I'd like to say a huge thank you to the support that we've received from Palmerston North, Manawatu District and our own Horizons region for toll-free Tararua. It was fantastic today to see the support from Transporting New Zealand come in. I'd also like to acknowledge our iwi partners who support our zero tolerance to a toll. Since the closure of the Manawatu Gorge, we've all endured hardship and made sacrifices. You lost your peaceful village, and we lost our treasured connection between our maunga, the Ruahine and the Tararua Ranges, and our awa, the Manawatu River. We needed the traffic for the survival of our businesses, and they have done it tough. We have paid the additional freight costs, paid our car maintenance, and survived the many trips over the Saddle Road, all with the hope in front of us. Te Ahua Turanga, the Manawatū Tararua Highway, was built. The road that would bring safety, replace our connection, allow us to grow, return to the peace that you once enjoyed. Ashhurst, you've been sold a lie. The peace and tranquility you were promised will never return with a toll. Even in NZTA's own tolling assessment, they estimate 3,000 vehicles a day will continue to use the Saddle Road, avoiding a toll, and they're going to rumble past your homes. Our people have modest means, and $4.30 is out of the question. But so is any toll, because that is not what was agreed or promised. You were promised your peace, and we were promised safety and resilience. Landowners and our iwi who sacrificed did so for the benefit of us all, and for the opportunities the replacement road would bring to our region. This full support allowed the consent to go through the Environment Court in a single day, because we all believed in Te Ahua Turanga, and never once was a toll mentioned. We would never have agreed to a road that was only for the rich to enjoy and be safe on. If the toll was proposed at the right time, at the start, we would have said stop way back then. This road does not meet the criteria for tolling. It's a replacement road. alternatives that are not feasible or safe, and we know that the figure used in the tolling assessment of 10,902 is based on unrealistic growth to get over the 10,000 vehicle movements needed to consider a toll in NZTA's own policy. In 2017, you've heard we had 7,600 movements, and our counters are out there right now collecting real information instead of using guesstimates. NZTA has also put out traffic counters last week, but theirs are in locations that also capture the highway construction traffic, the traffic that isn't going over the saddle. So when you see their results, take them with a grain of salt. They're skewing the numbers to get them closer to the guesstimate they used in the first place. Fortunately, we'll have our own statistics ready to measure against that. And then I'd like to talk about the rushed online consultation. That looks like a tick box exercise for a government that seems to have made up its mind. This road impacts every part of our lives in the Tararua district, and they're going to summarise that in our submissions. Just how do you think that they summarise the social and economic impacts of our lives? How do they reflect the true cost to our health, our education, our employment? The submissions people have shared with me are 8 to 10 paragraphs long. If you thought that we would tick a box, you were wrong. Up until the 29th of August, this was an iconic project that would unlock the economic potential of our region and leave an amazing positive legacy. Government and NZTA, I ask you now to consider what kind of legacy you are leaving. This project should never have been considered for tolling, and my last word is going to be to the board of NZTA. The unanimous message from our community is zero toll. We are asking you this with all that we have, to not recommend a toll on this road, to stop this unjust proposal going any further. We worked together to get this road built for the benefit of us all, and we stand together today. Let Te Ahua Turanga be the road that it was meant to be, our replacement connection, the road of shared stories of our maunga and the Ruahine and Tararua Ranges, the safe and resilient road, and the road of our growth and dreams. Do what is right and keep it free. Nō reira, tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou.
Kia ora, and thank you, Mayor Tracey, for continuing to bring the heat to this particular topic. I was looking in the dictionary the other day, and it was under the definition of staunch. Just 2 words, Tracey Collis. Absolutely, thank you. Now I'd like to invite Linda Stewart, Director of Regional Relationships from NZTA Waka Kotahi. Remember, this is the bit around civil servants and keeping it civil. Please do join us in welcoming Linda Stewart.
Tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou katoa. Ngā mihi nui kia koutou. Good evening, everyone, and thank you very much for taking the time out of your life to come along, hear from the speakers, as well as hear from NZTA and to ask the questions on what matters to each of you the most. Big thank you to the organisers of this evening and to all of the other speakers. I am here tonight just to explain the process that we're required to follow. Not here to comment on government policy, that can be directed to the government MPs. I would just like to first acknowledge, I feel like I've got my back to some of you, sorry. There we go. Te Ahua Turanga is a vital transport link. It's been constructed or being constructed to provide a safe and resilient route, not only to connect Woodville and Ashhurst or even Palmerston North and Tararua, but from east to west and further afield than that, the central North Island and the lower North Island. The process of tolling, it is a process, so you'll bear with me, but it is governed under the Land Transport Management Act, and it's one that NZTA is required to follow. NZTA has assessed Te Ahua Turanga's suitability as a toll road. This followed the release of the new government policy statement for land transport, which was released in, I think it was June this year. This introduced a new and clear expectation for NZTA to consider tolling to support the construction and maintenance costs of all new roads. We have undertaken that tolling assessment, and that has been considered by the NZTA board. The NZTA board then recommend to the Minister for Transport to approve moving forward to consultation, and that's the phase that we're in now. The tolling assessment determines whether a road meets the legislative requirements for tolling, value for money, can the revenue generate make a meaningful contribution to costs, and to ensure that it doesn't significantly impact the outcomes that the project was originally seeking to achieve. The findings from the tolling assessment show that the tolling revenue could make a meaningful contribution to the maintenance of the highway and also for the construction costs. Importantly, all toll roads are required to have a feasible, untolled alternative route. They must be available to all road users, and as you well know, in this instance, it is the track, the Palmerston track, and the saddle road. How we reach the toll pricing that is proposed, the modelling is undertaken to identify a range of options, and that's to find the tolling price that maximises the use of the road alongside the revenue. So it's a balancing act. One goes higher, the other one goes lower. The proposed pricing that's in the submission is there to, it aims to ensure that we generate sufficient use with sufficient revenue to make that meaningful contribution. Just a little bit on decision making. So how does this work from here if you are all going to take the time to submit? And I would genuinely encourage you all to submit, whether you are vehemently opposed to the toll, whether you think the toll might have merits, but it needs a whole lot of things changed within it, or whether you support road tolling. It's really important that we hear all views. This, again, the decision-making process is governed by the Land Management Transport Act, so it's quite clinical, process-driven. Post the public consultation, all submissions are reviewed. All feedback that we receive are reviewed, and this is then summarised and goes to the NZTA board for consideration alongside the technical data that's collected. The NZTA board, on that basis, unless it requests further information, will make a recommendation to the Minister on whether to progress with tolling a road or not tolling a road. The Minister is also provided with the submission summaries, any other information that is requested, and the technical data as well. This ensures that the Minister has visibility of the key themes that are coming through from the communities and from all road users. The final decision rests with Cabinet, based on the recommendation of the Minister. And that's when the decision is made to toll or not to toll. I'm happy to take, because there will be questions, but we'll take them at the end once the other speakers have finished. And thank you for listening.
Thank you, Linda. That's a fantastic summary of process and how people can get involved. Before I invite the next speaker up, I do want to say that we invited the Transport Minister, Simeon Brown, to this meeting. I want that to be very clear. I want it to also be very clear that he was invited and did not show up in Woodville. He was invited and did not show up in Dannyburg. And tonight, unless he's just snuck in the back door, he has not showed up to Ashhurst. That is unfortunate. Fortunately, we do have a government MP here, Mike Butterick from Wairarapa, who will be speaking to us tonight. And I think, Mike, what this room would really like to hear is why is this such a good idea?
Thank you. The first thing I'd like to do is thank you all for coming tonight, and I'd also like to thank the Ashhurst community representatives for organising it, including Brent, Barrett as well, Councillor. And I would also acknowledge Mayor Debi, Mayor Tracey, Mayor Helen, Rachel, Chair of Horizons, councillors from various councils, fellow MPs, Tangi, Kieran and Carl Bates, also Linda from NZTA and Wiremu and other EB representatives, Kia ora. And Sue's Redmayne is the MP for here, and she does send her apologies. She's away in Australia at the moment with Mayor Grant Smith, and she would have really liked to have been here, but she does send her apologies. So tonight, myself and my fellow MP from Wanganui, Carl Bates, we're here to listen to you, and I'm here to listen to you as I have been since the proposed toll was first announced, and to again encourage you to submit on the proposal and submit on what the toll will mean to you, your family and to your community and the groups within that community and your business. To submit whether you agree, disagree or are neutral, because your submissions matter. And I can assure you that I've been actively engaging with constituents, councils and the Minister of Transport regarding the proposed toll road since it was first announced, and will continue to let them know directly what your thoughts are. And there has been, as you've heard, public meetings in Woodville and Dannyburg, which were very well attended, as is tonight. So Sue's Redmayne came with me to the Woodville meeting, and Tom Rutherford, who's on the Transport Select Committee, came to me with one in Dannyburg. At both, again, we explained we were there to listen and to, again, take those concerns directly back to the Minister. And we have heard the impact in Dannyburg on their community health shuttle, and I've heard from a person undergoing cancer treatment of the impact the proposed toll would have. I've heard from a patient in Paeatua undergoing daily dialysis, and I've listened to the impact from local schools on both teachers and other staff that travel, as well as students that travel through for sport. And I've heard from transport operators on the impacts on their business. And I had written to NZTA and requested the tolling assessment, which I received at the Dannyburg meeting last week. So again, apologies from Sue's, and I urge you to submit whether you're for, against or neutral. And if you do need a hand with submissions, Carl's office, if on the west side of here, or Sue's office, or my office on the other side, and team are happy to help. Thank you.
Thank you, Mike, and we do appreciate you making the journey here. No doubt it was over the unsafe and unreliable alternate routes, so we're glad that you were able to make it. That's absolutely fantastic, and do appreciate your comments as well in terms of encouraging people to make submissions. I think that's the one thing we fully agree on. Thank you, Mike. Finally, I'd like to introduce Tangi, the MP for Palmerston North, also Labour spokesperson for transport. Please, Manawatu, welcome for Tangi.
Tēnā tātou katoa, kia orana, koutou katoa, and good evening. Thank you, Brent. Look, last week, Kieran and I went to toll-free Tararua to hear the concerns of the folk in Dannyburg. Not a single person in that particular complex last week raised their hand to say that they were in support of a toll. The week prior, Kieran and I went to support and stand alongside the folk, again in toll-free Tararua in Woodville. Very similar reaction and response from there. And today, we are back here in Ashhurst, on the other side of the gorge, I reckon actually to hear the same sort of views that have been expressed across in toll-free Tararua. This community has been waiting a very long time. I recall back in 2017, I filled the role that via Debi filled. I was the Deputy Mayor of Palmerston North before becoming an MP. And I remember in 2017, I stood in this very hall to hear the concerns, the criticism, and the views of this local community about what any proposal will mean for this village, for village life, for households that moved here some time ago or even more recently. The message was very, very clear. And it should have been. because you, as members of this community, were looking out for one another and each other. I remember actually one morning, Ross opened up the library here, and again, as Deputy Mayor and some other councillors, we met with the Transport Minister of the time, Simon Bridges, to share thoughts on what needed to happen for this local community. It's interesting that the chair of the NZTA board that will make this decision about whether or not a toll should be recommended to Simeon Brown is chaired by Simon Bridges. Someone who represented Tauranga for many years, the place that has 2 of the 3 toll opportunities in this particular country. This is a project that will be delivered on time next year, and despite what others say, delivered to a budget. Recently we've heard from Simeon Brown say, well hang on a minute, there's a $200 million blowout around this. Now that was news to me. Actually, it was news to many people when we heard that from him in Parliament, actually the day after the Woodville meeting. And he says that the blowout is attributable to the fact that there is a shared pathway as part of this project. Well, I know well and true that that was a condition of consent for this project. It's not something that is just Johnny-come-lately to this piece of road and piece of kit. I also know, and I'd say, tell me any project post-COVID that hasn't had some issues in terms of supply chain, high inflation, and the like. And the other thing I'd say is this. Back in May of this year, the NZTA board approved additional funding to meet that particular issue. So this is a particular project that will be delivered on time, and the budget has already been provided for as a result. This is nothing short of a revenue-grabbing exercise for Simeon Brown because his transport plan has a $6 billion hole. And folks in this community should not have to foot that bill. Folks in the Tararua district, who in many circumstances will have to fork out more than $43 or $43 a week if they're travelling to and from, whether education, health, work, they shouldn't have to foot the bill. Because any money that is generated from this toll, an unwanted toll, will be used to offset costs of maintenance elsewhere around the country. This community will be footing the bill for maintenance in other parts of the country because Simeon Brown simply cannot add up. And that is just completely unacceptable. This community has been waiting years. It has had to deal with disruption, whether it's through Heath and his school, having to be fenced and enclosed, whether it's the new footpath that needed to be put in, whether it was the devices, traffic calming measures to prevent the rat running that occurred off many of the grid-like streets in this particular community. You have been waiting for a very long time. And now, at the very last minute, the government is coming to the party saying, you know what, actually, we're going to hit you in the back pocket because we need to basically get some money. It just completely is unacceptable. So what's really important is that you do have to engage in the submission process. And I think everyone is going to send a very, very clear message to Simeon Brown that this is a replacement road with alternatives that are not satisfactory, whether it be the track or the saddle, and send that very strong message. The other thing I want to say is the tolling assessment. Like others, I asked Simeon Brown for a copy of the tolling assessment, didn't get a response, not bothered by that. But when we arrived in Dannevirke, it suddenly appeared. Some parts were redacted. It was 3 or 5, the number of pages was a single digit. I was expecting actually a toll of this particular nature, the highest in the country that's proposed, would be more than that, and it wasn't. But the thing that really concerns me, and the thing that really stinks, is we've had thousands of people submit to this process, and then this toll assessment, the very basis upon which the New Zealand Transport Agency Board is justifying a toll, is released towards the end of the consultation process. Now, how fair is that? It's becoming very clear to me that this is a government that has a one-track mind, and it has one desire, and that is to hit you in the pocket to add up the amount of money that they need to fill their plan. It sucks. We do not need a toll in this community. We don't need a toll in the Tararua. We need to send that very strong message to the government, and I'm sure you will. Kia ora.
Thank you, Tangi, for that very clear message. We now have a very brief announcement from Vicky from Positively Woodville before we get to that best part of every public meeting, which is the Q&A. Vicky.
Kia ora and g'day. Thanks, Brent. Well, the numbers again. We started out in Woodville with huge numbers, and you guys are just keeping it going, which is fantastic. It is one of the points is how fantastic and united our communities have been over this issue. If there is one silver lining to come out of all of this, it is a reminder of the importance of community and unity. The power is in the numbers, and we have the numbers. So I'm here to let you know that we're having a hikoi for the highway. It's in Woodville on this Saturday at 12 noon. We're going to walk from Fountain Square, which is in the middle of town, and we're marching to the new site of the new roundabout that will lead up to the highway. After making our feelings clear, we will be then marching back. The march is just one physical demonstration for our determination to tell NZTA, Waka, Kotahi, and the Minister of Transport just how wrong this proposal is. Come rain or sunshine, we will be there. It would be fantastic to have as many of you as possible there to join us. And because I have the microphone, sorry, Brent, briefly, what I've been hearing tonight is some issues with modelling. So a possible solution to find more money could be sacking the modelling staff at NZTA. I think that might be part of the issue. Thank you, Brent.
Kia ora, thanks, Vicky, and would encourage absolutely everyone here to turn out on Saturday, 12 o'clock. Bring your mates, bring your voice, and bring a big placard because they need to see it. So thanks, Vicky. Look forward to being there with you on the march. Right, on to the Q&A. We do ask that you do keep it to questions rather than statements, and that you keep it brief. There's quite a few in the room, and we want as many of us as possible to have a chance to ask their questions. You can direct your question to a specific speaker, or you can just kind of put it out to the room and see who might want to step in and answer that question. You are welcome to be direct. You are welcome to share how you feel about this. That is absolutely okay. This is a distressing situation, but we also do ask you to keep it respectful. We'll be chairing here through the mic, so we please ask that you wait until the microphone turns up. We have two roving mics, Arthur, who you've heard from before, and Phil, who you've heard from before as well. So they will come to you, so give them a wave if you want to ask a question. Please wait for the mic to turn up, and please don't talk over each other. We will collect the mic at the end so that you can have your question answered and they can move on to the next person. So can I just get hands up of like just a general sense of how many people in the room are thinking about asking a question? Right, yeah, okay, we've got a few to get through, good. Thanks, looks like we've got a microphone here to start.
My question is to Mike. Thanks for being with us this evening, but I want to ask you, where is Stephen Brown? Why is he unashamedly hiding in Wellington? Why he's not among the community to hear people's concern? Thank you.
Look, thank you. That is a question I cannot answer. Yeah, so look, I'm just here to represent Susan, Suze as well, so I can't tell you where Samantha is.
I've been here in Ashhurst just over 32 years. 32 years. And I lived down by Thursday Hurricanes by the Ram. When we first come here, Ashhurst was quiet. Now the road is coming up, and the gorge closed. Well, the traffic is increased, and I don't like using the saddle with all the power to a track, but I've got family over there, so I've got to use it. And so when we first moved in here, Ashhurst was a quiet little place, and sometimes out my driveway, the traffic it takes me about 10 minutes a quarter an hour before I can get out. So I am certainly opposed to the tolls. So it's going to, and I can't afford it, the tolls, and my daughter in Tararua, she can't afford it. So I have to continue to go to the saddle, which I don't like doing. So I'm certainly opposed to telling the government's got to stop it.
Thank you, great hearing from you. Does anybody want to pick up on some of those themes around safety, cost, peace of mind here in Ashhurst? Going once, twice, three times, apparently not. Next question.
Hi, my question is directed to the lady from the NZTA. We live on Mulgrave Street, and apart from Mulgrave and Salisbury, Mulgrave and Salisbury have been directly affected by traffic since before 2017 because the gorge broke down, I think, 3 times before that. What price of a toll do you put on broken sleep, vibrations, nervous wrecks it's turned us all into, and the safety factor? The road is continually full of potholes because of the trucks going through with no proper repairs being done. So what price is that toll? Thank you.
Thank you very much. I would strongly recommend that you outline your concerns in your submission. So thank you very much for submitting.
Next question, just here in the centre.
Thank you. This is also directed to the lady from NZTA. According to what you have supplied, currently the Saddle Road is listed as Highway 3. So once the new road is open, what will that be designated? What will then happen to the designation on the Saddle Road? And what implication does this have for who maintains those roads?
Great question. So once the new road opens, the saddle and the track go back to the asset owner, which in those instances are primarily Tararua District Council. There is a little bit that's Palmerston North City, and I think there's even a little sliver that's Manawatu on the saddle. But those assets are owned by the council and they are returned back to the council as their assets for ongoing maintenance once the new road is open. Prior to returning those assets back to the council, we do what is called a walkover to look at the level of service that's provided and have a look at the ongoing costs, the improvements that might be required to reach the level of service that the council is requesting. And then there's a negotiation piece in there if any improvements need to be made, but also as well to look at what the ongoing maintenance requirements are. Want a supplementary? Go for it.
Can I just say, so that puts another increase on our rates? Sorry. So that will actually increase our rates because the council will be responsible for the road.
You are right. They will still receive their funding assistance rate that they get for all local roads, but yes, there is a cost that the council will have to raise local share to contribute to, yes.
So in the Tararua district, we were gifted another one of these roads by the government. It's called Route 52. And to be fair, we can't even afford to pay for that. So 27 cents in every dollar the Tararua district residents would be asked to pay. That road is beyond repairable. The slumps on it will cost millions to repair, and even then, it is long, it is windy, and they just keep coming. You've seen the history of it. The Pahiatua track was just closed a week ago. And if you're going back to the staunch, I'm a tough negotiator, so those conversations will be had, but we don't want them back. I am happily to have a conversation with the Manawatu district and Palmerston North because there's no way we can afford these. They are not suitable for 3,000 cars a day. They have done really well to even survive for the years in which we waited for this replacement road to be built.
Yeah, so I've got a couple of questions, and basically I think with everyone here I feel like this whole thing's completely unjust, and I was thinking about those that have worked on this road. This is a legacy project for us. We should be proud that we completed this highway, and people are going to have their legacy, their work get sullied by the government. So my first question is for National Cabinet. I'll direct it at the MPs that are here. And really the question is, how dare you? Like, how dare you? You should feel embarrassment at this, that putting costs on people. We should feel anger at having the rug ripped out under our feet. So it's like, how dare you? I don't expect you to answer, but like, anyone? No? Okay, cool. So my second question, for the committee, much nicer, okay, for the people that have organised this event, what do you think about a nickname for this road, which will, for the toll, not the road, the toll. The toll's the problem, the road's not the problem. A nickname for the toll. I was thinking about the fact that Nicola Willis and Chris Bishop and everyone likes to go down to the Basin Reserve and watch cricket. And the idea popped into my head of the underarm toll. That is what this is. It's not fair, it's not Kiwi, it's not right, it's unjust. Underarm toll, remember that.
Hard to follow. Kia ora everybody, my name's Lane Nelson and I've spent more than 60 years in this community. I have commuted to Wellington and to Napier to work and come home sacrificing time with my family in order for my family to grow up in this village because it's a safe, or was a safe and quiet village. More recently I've been combating cancer and going through chemotherapy, radiotherapy, and I live one house back from Salisbury Street, and I can tell you it was not a restful time. And like so many people here, I will be making my submission. I've seen the school go into lockdown. I've served this community. I spent more than 11 years on the board of trustees here. I've served in Kindy, at Plunkett, and at no time has our community ever gone into a lockdown mentality. The school, I was part of the project that brought the bikes in schools to our community, and part of that agreement was that that facility would be made available to the public. It's not made available to the public now. No disrespect to the school, I understand why you're doing it. My question, because this is Q&A, is to the Linda, NZTA, and excuse me, Cyril, failed to remember your name. Sorry? No, the gentleman beside you. Mike, Linda and Mike, my question to you both is, we've heard tonight that the toll does not meet your own policy criteria, your legal criteria for placing a toll. Why are we here today? Why are we continuing with this consultation process? Why do we have to go through this if this does not meet the criteria? It should be ended right now. Thank you.
Two parts to this. We are required, as directed, the clear direction from the government to assess tolling on all new roads. When we've performed our tolling assessment and provided it to the board, they are satisfied that it does meet the requirements, and the recommendation then to the Minister to move on to the consultation phase. Thank you.
Was it Tanya? Sorry, apologies. Look, thank you. Look, in terms of the tolling assessment, I haven't seen the actual hard data myself. I got the tolling assessment last week in Dannyburg, and I understand, is there a vehicle count happening, or is that finished or happened or happening? It's happening. So I think Linda talked about that, sorry, or Tracey talked about that earlier. So look, I can't speculate on what that will be.
Surely you should have that data before you put this out, though. Quite right.
Thanks. Thank you, Linda. Thank you, Mike. Further comment from Chair Rachel.
Yeah, I just want to add to that I could have done a better assessment of the toll on the back of an envelope. Like what they supplied. In all seriousness, for the impact it has on this community and over the hill, what they've supplied is completely and utterly substandard.
Thank you. We're just on the cusp of 8:30. We'll do one more question, then have a brief break. Gentlemen.
No problem. This question is to Mr. Butterick. As a representative of the constituents. Does he support or oppose the toll, and can he support his view?
Thank you for the question. Look, as I've said repeatedly, I'm here to listen and take those views back to the Minister because it is a proposal at this stage. So there's, yeah.
Mr. Butterick, you've been voted in by your council by a significant, by a margin of 2,800. Last it came off for Labor. Does he want to let the, if he's not representing the views of the Wairarapa, that will be going back to a Labor electorate.
Right, I did say we'd take a break at 8:30, so this is like a 5-second break. If you do need to go at 8:30, please feel free, just do make your way out. We will stay with Q&A at the maximum to 9 o'clock. I think we had a question.
Yeah, mate.
No,
We're right
let's
here.
moved on. Oh, we've moved on. Under the basket, go for it.
This is for NZTA. I'm a bit of a numbers dude myself. How did we blow out by 200 million?
Sorry, can you speak again to the microphone?
It's more or less like we'd just like to see where it went, because when you guys first proposed the road, you guys get an estimate on the price of what it's going to be, like rough estimate. How do you blow out by 200 mil?
Whole range of reasons. We'll just step through them. So first up, when the design's actually underway, all of the testing's underway. By that I mean ground testing, etc. There were a few surprises for us, particularly around the bridge structure, the big bridge that goes over the river and the eco viaduct. So the pillars and the piles that are required to go down there had to go a lot deeper and required a lot more technology and engineering support. Secondly, we've encountered, as the whole world has, significant cost escalation right across the full supply chain. So everything from aggregate to labour to steel, the extended times to get materials here, also labour costs. We incurred a fairly long and substantial issue through COVID with a number of our labour force that were impacted and had to take time to recover from that. And also as well, we wanted to ensure that some of the pavement issues that we've experienced in Peka Peka to Otaki were not replicated on the Gorge. So we looked at, on Te Ahua Turanga, we looked at different pavement design which required different aggregate to ensure that it stood up to the wear and tear, particularly from freight movements. So there's a range of reasons over time that have impacted that cost escalation.
All right, thank you. So before we actually do any building of any roads, don't you have to do an earth survey?
Yes, we do. We do a fairly extensive one, but once you get under
It can't have been too extensive.
Especially once you're under the river, yes, yeah. It did create surprises. Hey, as you can probably all tell, I'm not an engineer, but that is one of the reasons that impacted the cost.
Great, thank you, Linda. Just before we go here, I've lost track of the other half of my microphone crew. Here we are. We're going to go here and then come back to this side. Thank you, Phil.
My question for Linda, is I haven't seen the tolling assessment, which apparently no one has, but what did NZTA, what was your toll price that you submitted to Cabinet? Was it the $4 something, or was it a lot lower, and then the ministry thought, oh, we need to balance, as you say it, we need to maybe put it higher, so when the community dispute it, which you knew we would, then we've got a bit of wriggle room, come back a bit to $2 something, maybe, they look like the good guys, and then you've still got a little bit of profit in your pocket.
Thank you for your question. Through the toll pricing modelling, so when we look at number of vehicles that are likely to use the road and the cost per travel from east to west or west to east, We look at everything from zero toll all the way through to kind of maximum, if you like, so that the numbers would drop below what would make it, even required to have the road. And that's where we landed on a kind of high, medium, low figure. Well, yeah, from zero, as I said, from no toll to maximum, where it would drop with the number of vehicle movements that wouldn't make it valuable to do it, because it is a balance between number of vehicles using it and the cost to toll. What we recommended to our board is what's in the submission. It is in the proposal.
Okay, this question is for NZTA and National, and I do thank you for coming and having the courage to show up. NZTA is responsible for the maintenance of state highways. When a state highway has a washout, you create a diversion. The Gorge is just a bloody big washout. So this new road that you're classifying to need a toll isn't a new road. It's not even a replacement road. It's actually a diversion. Why are we paying for it? Are you not ashamed?
We're required to follow this process. The definition of a new road is governed under the Land Management Transport Act, and just to be really clear, that's under section 46, and a new road can be defined as new until it's been opened to the public.
Thank you for that definition. Still think it's crap. The bridge structure was not a recent change. COVID was not recent. So why has not been tracked and only found out recently? This government has put a stop to pay increases for civil servants and defence that live on both sides. We have people that serve Paeatua, Woodville, over there in the civil servant capacity, and vice versa. That's going to cost them an extra $2,000 at least per year on an already tight budget to serve our community. The Saddle Road upkeep will now go to the ratepayers. We purposely did not buy an alternate route. The NZTA did not put speed reducing measures onto what was a quiet street to assist with heavy vehicles using it. Our quiet and safe street is no more, woken up at 5 a.m. or from 5 a.m. with heavy vehicles braking and accelerating. I feel for Heath because I see daily primary school children trying to cross our street with other people coming over using it as a rat race. I spoke with NZTA since 2020 asking for speed reducing measures, and they always came back and said it's a temporary measure. We can't do it because of the heavy vehicles. So in my view, NZTA are more about the heavy vehicles than our children. Someone said on Ashhurst chat, I'd love to meet you by the way, it's like inviting someone to dinner then asking them to pay when the evening is nearly finished. My question is, what is deemed acceptable as an acceptable alternate route by NZTA?
It must meet the criteria around feasibility, so safe for the types and volumes of traffic that travel on it. Thank you.
Excuse me. Thanks. We'll go there, and then Arthur, if you can bring the mic forward after the lady in pink. Go ahead, and then please come forward. There's a couple hands up here.
We've had a few people stand up and say they couldn't afford this new toll. I would like to ask, what is going to happen to those people if they take the road because they have to, because the other roads are out, and they get told for doing so? Are we going to see people going before the courts because they haven't been able to pay tolls?
In a situation where both of the alternative roads are not accessible, so if there was a significant natural disaster, touch wood, and neither the track nor the saddle was available, the decision can be made to utilise Te Ahua Turanga without the toll, so that it would be available. If, however, there were road users that were going to, on their daily day-to-day business, use the toll and not pay, there is we can look at infringement enforcement and debt collection for that.
If the toll goes ahead, how will the toll be managed? Is NZTA going to manage the toll themselves, or will they contract it out to a private company?
The type of tolling infrastructure will likely be digital. We're going through a procurement process for that at the moment, and it will be managed by NZTA.
How much, what revenue is NZTA seeking to get out of the toll road?
So it's estimated that over the 35 years, it would be 193 million over that would be returned to the maintenance and towards the debt incurred for construction.
Will, if the traffic numbers aren't what NZTA have based that off, are significantly lower or significantly higher, will the toll length of 35 years be reduced or extended?
We would need to take everything into account. So through the submissions, we would look at the technical data, and that would be what the board would base their overarching decision, and then the recommendation back to the minister as to whether to progress or not. I couldn't comment whether it would be shortened, either the portion that's told or the duration. But just for 1 point, we are out for proposal on 3 tolls, not only Te Ahua Turanga, in terms of the infrastructure. Unfortunately, under the current legislation, transmission gully can't be tolled. It can't be applied retrospectively. There are reviews underway for that legislation to look at what that might look like, but at the moment that can't be done.
This is also for NZTA. You might as well just stay there, I think. We have always, to my knowledge, been talked about this new road as being a replacement road. I hear tonight that it isn't a replacement road, it's a new road. So NZTA, what is your definition for a replacement road, please? That's the first question. The second one is, if you've got people who have stolen cars and go for a joyride across this replacement road, if it is tolled, I'm assuming that the person who owns the car which has been stolen is going to be up for that money. Is that correct?
So in answer to the first question, I'd go back to the definition of what is new, and that is why we're moving through the tolling proposal process. In relation to the second question, in relation to the... I'm going to go back to my answer around what a new road is. We are required for new roads to do that. I'm still going to go back to my answer on the new road.
In the business case for Te Ahua Turanga, it was always a replacement road. It magically became a new one with the tolling policy.
As is required under the government policy statement. In relation to your question on vehicle thefts, we also have the role as the regulator, so we manage, if a car is stolen, the number plates, So it wouldn't necessarily be that that individual would automatically be pinged because there would be an investigation into a stolen vehicle.
Thanks. Arthur, can I just say there's quite a few folks up front too. Before we get to that side, there's one more here. We'll probably have time for about 3 or 4 more questions. We'll start here. Thank you.
So Linda, this one is for you again. You just mentioned before when you were talking about the technology for the tolling that you're in the process of procuring a system. Procurement means in the process of obtaining something. If this is a consultation, it seems like you guys have already made your mind up if you're already going out to buy the damn thing instead of toll the road. So can you confirm that you're in the process, with your words, we're in the process of procuring the technology? So does that mean that it's going ahead?
We're looking at the procurement process.
Your words were, we're in the process of procuring the technology.
What I'm saying right now is we're looking at the procurement process for tolling. So there are 3 out at the moment for consultation for tolling, and there undoubtedly will be more because of the roads of national significance, which are quite clearly indicated in the government policy statement that all will be assessed for tolling. So it would be good business practice for us to begin to look at what would be required to scale up toll roads right across the country. So no, it's not a disingenuous process.
So the current tolling equipment that's used on the Turanga bypass, is that not already up to speed?
I think everything can be improved, definitely.
So you want to retract your words where we're in the procurement?
If I'm saying that we're looking at the procurement of technology to support tolling.
You should be a politician.
Thanks. I think we had an answer there. We'll go to the back here, and then I'd say there's been quite a few hands up the front here after that.
I've got a question that comes out of the Land Transport Management Act, which has been referred to occasionally tonight by NZTA, by you, Linda, and by the National Party members here. Section 48, Part 1, says the Minister must not recommend the making of an order in council under Section 46.1, which is about decisions on tolling, unless he or she is satisfied, and Part B is with the level of community support for the proposed tolling scheme in the relevant region or regions. And that is a requirement. How much support in the region do they have to decide that they will toll this road?
Yes, you're absolutely correct. That is a condition, and that is part of the requirements that we have to assess. The Minister has to be satisfied that the consultation process has been adequate and has been transparent. And it's, he has to be able to determine that it's enabled the road users and the communities to have their voice so that they can weigh up the technical along with the wider opportunities and impacts of tolling.
Thank you for pointing that out. Now, that might be the legislative or the legal trigger for Simeon Brown to make that call. But he's been very clear publicly that if the NZTA board recommend that a toll is suitable, he will take to Cabinet the need to toll. So that might be what it says in law about community support, but let's also be very clear that he's publicly said in circumstances where the NZTA board recommend a toll, he wants it.
We'll go to Phil's mic over here and then come back here after that. Yep.
I have 2 questions. One is for the gentleman over at the far wall. Can we please use your slogan in Woodville on Saturday? Yes. Yeah. The underarm, can we use it? The underarm toll? And my second question is actually to Tangi. the board recommend and are dumb enough to do it, and there is a toll put on place, at the next election, when Labor gets in, and when you become Transport Minister, what are you going to do about that toll?
Thank you for your support. Can I just say that we're all hopeful here that we're not going to have to head down that path because there isn't going to be a toll. If the government of the day sees any sense, then we're not going to get to that point. But let's also be very clear that Kieran and I are absolutely opposed to this toll. And so if we're in government, when we're in government, that will be the perspective that we take and discuss with our colleagues, that we do not support this toll. It is unjust, it is unwarranted, and it simply should not happen.
You heard that here. You heard that here tonight.
We'll take one more question. Sorry, from the, we are chairing through the mic from the woman that just had the mic, Arthur. No, there we go. Oh, well, okay. In that case, we'll go there and then we'll finish up over here.
You can only dodge me for so long. Kia ora tātou. My name is Te Kinahi Teira. I'm a Māori board councillor on Horizons. Our leader said that we should do an assessment on the back of an envelope, so I've had a go at doing that. What is the assessment for the health and safety of people who live in Ashhurst? No. Number two, what is the assessment of the time, the effort, and the problems that people have had to put into putting up with waiting all this time for this road? Given that the heritage of Te Ahua Turanga has been gifted, and we all know it's been gifted because it goes across Māori land, Parihaki Island. Now, there might be problems with that, but someone didn't do the job properly when they assessed how far they would have to go down into a river. Now, the other part of the heritage assessment is Te Ahua Turanga is a sacred mountain to Rangatane. And they had to give up that for this road. So those are two of the assessments, but the question part, better put a question in there, because I've been taught how to ask questions. The question is, trucks are going to use this road. Those trucks that are coming up this coast on the west side will have to go over 2 tolled areas. What impact will that have on the amount of trucks, the commercial value for that, on anything that goes with tolling both parts? Okay? That'll do for now. Kia ora.
Just seeing if there's any takers on any of those themes or questions. Don't appear to be. Thank you, though, for the comments and the questions. We'll have one final question. I'm just going to apologize to people that we haven't gotten to, but we're almost online and we'll need to break. Just to the lady here, thank you.
This is a question for Linda. Just as a point of clarification, the new legislation has come out this year that new roads have to be assessed for tolling. So,
put your mic up.
Sorry, can you please explain that the road that we have that is being built and nearly completed was contracted and started years ago, and you've just explained that Transmission Gully can't be tolled because it's retrospective. So this contract was started retrospectively before the change in legislation. Why is this road now open for an option to be tolled when it was contracted in good faith years ago and almost completed?
So just to be really clear, the legislation hasn't changed. It's the government policy statement for transport that provides a direction to NZTA to assess all new roads, so roads that are not yet open, for tolling feasibility. So when this GPS has come in, transmission gullies already got the cars going over it. So at this stage, it is not eligible for assessment for tolling and for a toll to be on it. That may or may not change in the future, but that's why we're able, because Te Ahua Turanga is not officially open, it doesn't have cars moving on it, that we are able to assess it for tolling.
And I just want to clarify that Transmission Gully was assessed for a toll road, and according to the NZTA documents, it says our assessment showed that tolling the road would likely result in more drivers choosing to use the coastal route, so the current State Highway 1, which would compromise the safety, environmental and access benefits which the new road will deliver.
Thank you. Thank you, Chair Rachel, and thanks to all of our speakers, and particularly to Linda Stewart, who has borne a lot of the questions and responses. A round of applause, please, for all our speakers. And would like to invite Arthur back up to close us out. Thank you, Arthur.
So you're not going to give me a chance to say anything here?
No, sorry, that was indicated as the last question, sir.
Because of your age, go for it. Have a go.
That's discrimination.
It is. It is indeed. Yes.
I'll tell you what, I've got more on my head than what you've got anyway. In the way of gas. Yours is around your chin. It was just one thing I'd like to say. You know, Transmission Gully has, well, first of all there, I wouldn't hold my breath that this is going to be a toll-free road. I hope I am wrong. And it's pointing too much, you know, when you have a look at this, going out to public consultation, yeah, that's okay. You've got all these submissions that go in. It'd be probably about watch out for that man, it'd be about so high, and the ones that are for it, there'll be way down here, might be one. But anyway, is that going to make any difference? No, it's not going to make any difference to the government at all. They've already made up their mind of what's going to go on, happening around the place there. Now, I would point this question at the NZTA, Linda Stewart, and yes, ma'am, and about Transmission Gully. It has been mentioned. I know Transmission Gully cannot be tolled because once it's open, it can't be done. But the reason for it not being tolled in the first case, before it was open, was the fact, exactly the same as what it is here, people wouldn't use the toll because of the cost. They'd still go around the coastal road. Council didn't want to maintain the coastal road. That's exactly the same scenario here, and I can't see where the difference is. I'd just wait on, there's a good question coming up here, but it's not going to take you long to answer. I've just got my little question to you, and I want a simple answer, a yes or a no answer. I don't want a politician answer or anything like that. But is this not the same scenario, Transmission Gully versus the Saddle Road? I only want a yes or no answer. That's all I need.
You had two questions?
No, a yes or no answer.
NZTA is required to give effect to the government policy statement at the time it's operating.
Excuse me.
So it's a no, it's not the same situation.
Well, look, all I'm asking is a yes, no answer. Is that
It's a no.
scenario?
She said no.
Take this off me.
Right, publicly, I would like to invite Mr. Simeon Brown to come and ride a horse with me on Saddle Road. And I would like to publicly invite Simeon Brown to come and ride a bike over Saddle Road with me. And I would like to publicly invite Simeon Brown to come and drive a truck over Saddle Road with me. I really would like him to do that. I would be happy to do that with him. Oh, absolutely, down Salisbury Street. Listen, thank you everyone for coming along. It's been amazing. There's been over 350 of us here today, and we really appreciate Ashhurst turning out. I think the most important thing is that we've learned tonight is that this is an underarm toll. And I just want to hear that from you. Let's just say that together. Underarm toll, underarm toll, underarm toll. Thank you very much, everyone. I'd like to invite Wiremu to come up with a closing karakia. Thank you very much, Wiremu.
It's good being a peacemaker. I'm glad we beat the Aussies on Saturday anyway, so there. What an evening. What we've learned, what Maori have known for a lot of years, is the government speak with a forked tongue. And it's happened big time to us. What I've enjoyed tonight is that I see Māori and non-Māori working together. And to me, that's great. Let's close in prayer. Almighty God, I thank you, Lord, for each and every person here. I thank you for this country of ours. Thank you, Lord, that you watch over the people that live especially in Ashhurst. Look after them and keep them safe. But I pray, Almighty God, that there be no tolls on our, if I'm allowed to ask God that, I will. But that things will come out, we will be sensible on both sides. Kia tau, kia tātou katoa. Te ata whātua tātou ariki e hukaraiti. Me te aroha me te atua. Me te whiwhina tahetanga ki te waira tapu. Ake ake. Amine. Short version. Kia we, kamate ahau. E hine hoki mai rā. Short version. Kia we, kamate ahau. E hine hoki mai rā. God bless and have a wonderful drive home.